Well, let's get it started. Miss Lori, good to have you on tonight. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. What's your background? You know, what industry, what business did you come from before you came to us at TW3?
Well, Terry, thanks for the opportunity tonight. I worked in the advertising and marketing industry, specifically with AT&T and Yellow Pages, and that's, I know some people kind of think that's old school, and it's getting there. But I spent 16 years as a sales rep, internet sales manager, area sales manager, inside sales, premise sales, and spent probably the last 10 of the years that I was there as a corporate sales trainer. I worked really, really hard to, get promoted and learn my craft. And what happened was AT&T had sold their Yellow Pages off, and that became a new company, and then that company was bought by another company. And you know what happens when two very large companies with thousands of employees merge? They have too many employees. So I was kind of, pushed out the door after I had to go train my replacements. I got pushed out the door, and I was faced with, well, there goes my pension, there goes my health insurance, there goes all my benefits. And so I was really faced at that time with, and I was looking for a job, just like many of our members are just looking for a job. And that's why we're sort of in that space. And that's when I came across TW3 because of my experience in advertising, marketing, and training and coaching. It really aligned up with what my skill set, my experience was. And really what I really like to do and what I was interested in. And so, me looking for a job, I was like, I don't want to start all over with a new company. And, that's, I was kind of thinking, I mean, why would I want to do that? So that's how I got involved. And I'll tell you, I also had to replace $100,000 a year income. And so when I got involved with TW3, it really, really spoke to me because it has met my needs. It's exceeded what my needs are. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm learning new skills while still, kind of focusing on what my knowledge base is.
And your core.
Right. And just really my love and desire of, it's really about helping other people. And coaching and developing them. All the while I'm sort of developing myself too with new skills and new knowledge. So I'm just in love with it. Love, love, love it.
Well, their loss is our gain. I mean, they lost a gem because you are a rock star, and you took off like everybody did, a little bit here, a little bit there. And then here in the last, it seems like the last month or so, you have really gained a lot of traction. I mean, it's not onesie twosie. It's like boom, 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 that we're seeing in your business. And that's just awesome to see the growth. Got to meet you at the conference last year. And I think I'll let you tell the story. You are affectionately and forever will be in this family the Miss Spelling Bee. But I'll let you explain to the audience how you so rightfully earned that title.
Well, that was kind of funny. I was at the conference, and by the way, folks, if you don't have your ticket yet, you have to find a way to get to the conference. You absolutely do not want to miss it. I was at the conference last March, and I was kind of a new member at that time, and I'm a front row sitter. I sit, I sit in the front row at church. I sit in the front row in a class or any sort of gathering like that. So I was in the front row, and Terry was giving one of his presentations where he was using a PowerPoint, and he was speaking about how I can't even remember, but it had to.
I think I stepped on my own headline because of that.
It had to do with being
intelligent,
or not having to be intelligent, or having to be intelligent. But the irony is that he misspelled the word intelligent. And, I'm kind of geared to proofreading because, when we printed ads in the phone book, they had to be proofread. So I'm just like honed in on misspellings and things. So I absolutely couldn't resist myself, and I had to mention the fact that Terry had misspelled the word intelligent, and laughter ensued in the whole room. I hope I didn't. Terry laughed. I hope he thought it was funny.
I thought it was hysterical.
So
still do.
I have forever been known ever since as Misspelling Bee. So funny story.
Funny story. But I think it serves a greater point because it sort of reinforces, unfortunately, my whole argument, which is you don't have to be great to be good. You just have to be active and get started.
That's right.
And you've probably been in this business, and even with your coaching and training and working with Yellow Pages and that organization, human nature is human nature. You get a new person in, excited, ready to rock and roll, ready to really realize all the potential and all the promise that they see in the opportunity, and seeing other people experience in the opportunity. And so, but there's this thing inside of them that every single I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed, everything has to be perfect before they do the first, what I call money making activity, which is just getting in front of that person and talking to them. If I had to wait till I could spell, I would never do a presentation or a podcast or a blog content or anything else.
And, you're right, Terry. There's a saying, if you wait to have kids until you can afford them, you would never,
exactly.
You would never have any kids. You do not have to wait until every I is dotted and every T crossed, or you will forever be, trying to get to that point where you think that it has to be perfect before you start anything. This is a learning process.
Right.
And, as long as you can follow directions, take coaching advice, and follow the plan works. Just get to where you can learn those fundamentals so that you can get yourself in a situation, position yourself where you are talking to customers, you are building that activity with that foundational knowledge, and then plan on, just like anything, you're going to build those skills. Get some muscle memory with some of the tech stuff. It's like, learning to play the guitar or learning to play the piano. There's a muscle memory thing that just sort of happens over time. And you just, sometimes it's almost like call anxiety, where you're kind of afraid that first call that you take or that first person that you speak with, you almost avoid it because you've got the anxiety to
Sure.
just start. So that's the thing you have to get past is that, first time anxiety,
yeah.
and just get past it. And I think that when you and that could happen to you over months and months.
Sure.
Where you sort of fall back into that, call anxiety. But so you just have to work yourself through that and and keep going and keep up your activity, because that's where your success is going to come from. It's from the activity. If you don't speak with anyone, you're not going to sell anything.
Sure.
You're not going to help anybody. So, you just need to position yourself for the most possible success that you can have.
Put the numbers in your favor. And the more you're in front of people, the more you're in front of qualified people, the better you're going to be, even if you're just an average to below average, subpar salesperson. You've heard me say the old mixed metaphor: a blind hog will find an acorn every once in a while. Even if you're not equipped to hunt for acorns, if you're out there looking and digging, through the muds and through the whatever, you're eventually going to run across something. But you just got to be out there, doing the activity, like you said. I want to, for people that are on tonight and listening to this podcast later, I want to pivot a little bit here and ask you, that for that person that hasn't joined TW3 or and is looking at this, maybe they've spoken to you, or maybe they have spoken to another rep. Here you have come from a marketing background already. A lot of times we work with people that don't have any experience in marketing. You got some in sales, but not in marketing. But you, with the experience of Yellow Pages and the other things that you did with them, you had that experience, and then you came to TW3. How did having experience help you, and how did it challenge you? Because, experience cuts both ways. Sometimes it gives you a leg up, and sometimes it gives you I've got to relearn this because this is different type mentality, and you're having to fight through old muscle memory. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but because this is not a question I sort of sent to you beforehand, nor did we record it beforehand. Whole new content here. But, because sometimes I'll see what I'm trying to get at is with you, I've seen people with your experience before struggle way more than you have with us, getting started. And I'm trying to isolate why with your experience, it served as an asset to you, it seems like, more than it did a challenge to, I've got to relearn this because this is done completely different than what it was done before. Can you think of or know of any reason? I mean, why, how has that history helped instead of hurt you?
Well, I think it has to do with your approach and your attitude, honestly, Terry.
Okay.
If we always remain in life as disciplined learners, then that means we're always open to receiving new knowledge or learning new skills. And someone that comes in with a certain advertising or marketing background, they might have the attitude that, hey, I already know it all. There is no room for me to improve because I'm already a 10, when that can't possibly be true. If you're a brain surgeon, there's always room to improve.
Sure.
That, right?
So it's mindset.
So
it was just straight.
It's absolutely a mindset.
Because you were sitting on the front row at the conference. I mean, you were there with pen and paper ready to learn. So that's obviously, an attribute. But it's just so unique because I don't know if I'm not going to say you're a unicorn, but most of the time I start worrying a little bit if on the resume they say, yeah, we've got internet marketing background, we've got marketing background, we got this. It's not that they can't, and we have several that do, but sometimes it's been my experience that can be a little bit more of a challenge than an asset. And so I think, okay.
Well, so that person with that, I mean, those are great backgrounds.
Absolutely.
To have anyone in, internet marketing, SEO, SEM, digital marketing, sales. Those are all great, a great knowledge base.
Sure.
But, back to the mindset, you have to be open to learn and maybe do something a little bit differently than you're used to doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, it kind of goes back to there's a plan. The plan works, just work the plan.
Right.
And so, be open to
Coachability.
Honing, right. Being coachable, being coachable.
Yeah.
And
I got you. Yeah. I agree with you. I think it is all mindset. It's so interesting. And I don't want to throw shade on anybody with that, experience. I mean, that you're right. That's the knowledge base. I mean, it can be a huge one up because there's certain just knowledges that, man, if you just shift it a little bit here or there, just tweak it to fit within the new paradigm you're working within, it can be. But sometimes I think it's right. People, and I don't know if they understand it cognitively. I mean, if they're conscious about it, or if it's just on a subconscious, I think people having to learn a new thing is a fearful thing sometimes to a lot of people. It's just, I guess I'm the same way in that regards. I'm a creature of habit. I guess we all are. And it's very uncomfortable to be put in an uncomfortable position. And what's an uncomfortable position in business to me is in a world that's changed on you. And, because we deal with it every day, people 20, 30, 40 year careers in a certain thing. And then the whole industry, this macro change happens. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and it's no longer about, picking up the phone and cold calling. It's about writing good ad copy, good banner copy, driving traffic through a clickable thing, through a funnel. And you're like, wow, what's a funnel? Setting it to an autoresponder, and all this language and terminology and concepts that, marketing concepts you have to sort of get up to speed on. I can see how it can be so overwhelming, even for the most experienced person.
And you know what, Terry, even for the inexperienced, so, say someone has no experience in advertising or marketing or anything like that, all those things can be taught,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
They can be coached, they can be taught, there's training,
yep.
And they can be learned, provided that person, puts in the effort for their self-edification.
Yes.
What cannot be taught, what cannot be given is that entrepreneurial mindset where, can you do it? Do you want to do it? Are you persistent? Are you tenacious? Are you a go-getter? Can you work independently?
Yes.
Can you even put yourself kind of out there on the line? I know when right. And I know when I started, when I lost my job, that was uncomfortable, let me tell you. And, I was faced with, do I do this? What if I fail? I've ruined my family financially. So that's kind of what my driver has been, is I refuse to fail. I refuse to fail. So, my motto in sales has always been persist without exception. You have to persist without exception. And what that means is you set a goal and you keep persisting until you reach or exceed that goal. You can't come up on a deadline or at a certain point and say, well, I almost made it, and gosh, I've worked so hard. I almost made it, and I'm ready to just lay back now.
Sort of spike the ball on the 20-yard line.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, do you want to score a touchdown or kick a field goal?
Right.
So, you just have to word of advice and something I have lived by: persist without exception.
That's awesome. I think we talked in our what do we refer to the former conversation, the tech training conversation, tech practice version of this interview. I mentioned, and it's true, the greatest gift I was given was the failure that I faced in 2008, because I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't put in a position where I had to sink or swim, do or die, because the world I was in fell apart. The economy fell apart. The industry I was in rapid decline because it was tied to the housing market. And, as Simon Sinek said in his book, Start With Why, before I read that, but probably before that book was even written. That's how I got started. I had a why. I had 5 children and a wife that wanted to eat. And because I was already an entrepreneur, there was no benevolence given by government or anybody else, because you didn't pay in the system. You don't live off the system. So, I had to come up with something quick. And as painful as that was at the time, it was the greatest gift it was ever given to me, because I didn't have options but to succeed.
And Terry, you're right about that. And, it's those things that we experience throughout life that makes us who we are today. Yeah. And even, not to get preachy here, but God enters all things with his goodness, even the failures,
Absolutely.
even, the bad things that might happen to you. There is goodness in there, and it's that person that can kind of take that experience. It makes you who you are as a person.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that's where our growth comes from.
The greatest growth,
the greatest growth. It comes from picking yourself up, getting your attitude right, and just refusing to accept failure, and start with something new, start again, keep going, keep persisting without exception. It might be in something different than you were doing.
Absolutely. And everything, and keep your eyes wide open while you're in the process. There was a lot of things that after my business failed, I had no idea, and I'm going to just stay on the religious vein for just a second with your permission as well. He says he'll work all things together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. Well, I'm in this process. I'm like, well, how's all this going to work together for my good? Right. I'm on my hands and knees selling vacuum cleaners. I'm out peddling to my friends, family, and foes, term life insurance by this captive agency. I'm having to do all these side hustle jobs that just didn't resonate with my soul like the music business did. So I've lost a means of income, but I've also sort of lost a sense of purpose because it just wasn't, what it didn't feel like me. But through that whole process, I'm developing new marketing skill sets that I never used before, never had to use before, from how to book appointments with the insurance world to how to use marketing incentives with the vacuum cleaner world, to how to tie all that together with a sales narrative. All of these things that we teach at TW3 now came because I was in a grind, in a process of trying to get things to work back together for my good, and going back to your thing of fortitude and persistence, I taught one time on that passage over where Paul says, comfort those with the same comfort you've been comforted with. And the one thing I think that I heard a preacher say one time that's just so true, if your persistence is tougher, stronger, and more resilient than your resistance, you will always win. But it's up to you on the persistence. What do you pour into your persistence? What does that mean? What does that look like? What is that daily activity? And one of the toughest things I've talked to, coaches that in the wellness, and it's why I struggle sometimes losing weight, is you do this activity, you do this, and you don't see the immediate results you want. You don't see the immediate weight loss. You don't see the immediate this, immediate that. Sometimes you plateau. And so you give up on the activity. Well, business is the same way. Sometimes you're there and you're in your closet by yourself or your workspace by yourself at home, and Terry or Lori or one of your coaches is saying, do this, and you do it, and you don't see the immediate results. But it's that activity, it's that persistence in that activity that is going to yield the results, isn't it?
Exactly, Terry. And sometimes it's very difficult to, you're working from home, you're in your office all by yourself. And sometimes it's sort of hard to maintain that attitude, that right attitude. And so that's why I encourage everyone, you because it's very easy to feel isolated, and we kind of have to feed our spirit man, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's why coming to the Monday night podcast and the Wednesday night training is so important. Not only are you able to learn things and ask questions, but you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are part of a team. You are not isolated. You're part of a team. You're part of a family. We cut up. We're making friendships with people all over the country,
Yeah.
from the East Coast to the left coast. and, and it's really a remarkable thing to have friends, that you may never have even met in person, but you're friends with those people, and they're on your team and they're in your family. And it's so important to feed your spirit with that.
Sure.
If you don't, it's the dog that's fed will win the fight, right?
Absolutely.
So whoever's fed more, if it's your isolation or
the
your
talk,
bad attitude or negative thoughts, if you feed that, then that dog will win.
Absolutely. Feed the dog you want to grow to be the strongest. And you don't have to look far to see the negative Nancy's, the Debbie Downers, and the doubting Thomases and all that. I mean, most people's mindset is, it is what it is. Life is for nothing but just trying to survive and get out halfway alive and, just try to stay alive. And then there's these little people out there that just have a little glimpse of hope because they see other people that you don't have to just survive. You can thrive. You can be this inarticulate Southern redneck that can't spell, and all of a sudden speaking to, millions of people around the world. And, your limitations don't have to be, you can supersede everything, not to get preachy, but you can go exceedingly abundantly above all that you ever thought, dream, or imagine if you let the power within start to work, and we were all created for, by, and from the purposes of greatness. So it's inside of you. If you'll just believe enough in yourself and believe enough in your future and in your family and those things, that you can have everything in life you want, as Zig says, if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And so that's what TW3 is about. It's the cornerstone of this business is helping others. And
absolutely. And and I think that's why I just align so much with it, because that really is my true joy, is in helping other people be successful.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about our business, I think the uniqueness of it, one of them is, you can get in this business or that business. You can get in the health and wellness business. You can get in the insurance business. You can get in the real estate business. You can get in any industry, any business you want. But your ability to recruit people into that business as a means for an employment or a business opportunity is limited by the very nature of what that industry is. Not everybody's, has fun with real estate. Some do, some don't. Not everybody likes insurance. Some do, some not everybody likes health and wellness. The uniqueness about this, as just looking at it straight up from just a business opportunity, not talking about the tools and all the other things, but just it is sort of like the common denominator of all businesses. It's the thing that all businesses have to start with. So your ability to help other people just exponentially outgrows any other business opportunity, because it doesn't matter what you're in. You got to have people to speak with. You got to have leads. That's where it starts.
Well, and that's right. And, that's the thing when we're speaking with business owners, if they're serious about their business, they need to have a tool in place that is going to help them be successful in their business. If they're missing that one tool, and that is a way to generate leads for your business, they will fail. I mean, 95% of businesses
Fail.
who open fail within the first year. Why is that? What is the missing thing?
People.
Well, it's a tool to help them get customers.
Qualified.
I mean,
customers.
Right. So when we're speaking to those businesses, I mean, you can say, if you're serious about your business, then you need to have a tool in place that's going to help you generate leads for your business and market for your business, whether they're a buyer today or a buyer next month or a buyer a year from now. Because not everyone it's understanding that customer journey. Not everyone makes a buying decision on day one. It may take them, down the road, and, we can do that.
Absolutely.
We can do a push market. We can do a directional sort of presence.
Right.
For you, or a push market campaign, or a pull campaign.
Absolutely.
Or a drip campaign. We can do all those things. We can teach you how to do all those things.
And you need to do all those things. I mean, I can tell you, after doing this now for 11 years, we just had someone on board with us last year that has been listening to this, has been following TW3 and TerryWilson3.com for 10 years. For 10 years. Been listening to it and using the free training on the Monday night side, the podcast side, as just, a supplement to help them in their sales position that they were in. Well, that company has since folded at the first of the year, and they were still, and they said, they actually have a business opportunity about this. I ought to try it. And they've been dripped on and listening. That's why it's so important. It didn't cost any extra to stay in touch with that person. It just a strategy and a methodology of making sure that they're not left behind is all it took. And then all of a sudden they come in as the elite member, So it stay engaged with the audience that you build and the client and the leads that you capture. It's so important. I think people don't realize how important that is. Well, Lori, you are a gem. You're a rock star. You're a gem. And I can't wait to see you at the next upcoming conference.
I will be there.
Be there. And you're going to be here in the studios Wednesday night before we start with some other elite trainers to just chew the fat and just hang out here in the TW3 studios. We're going to have a special broadcast before the conference starts in March with you and some others in here. And it's going to be a fun time to hang out with you guys here. So that's going to be fun.
I cannot wait. I am so looking forward to that.
And I'm going to send you all my material beforehand so you can proof it for me.
Okay. I will do. I'm sorry. I just can't help myself.
I need it. I need it for sure. Absolutely, for sure. So, Lori, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with the great Miss Spelling Bee?
Well, my email address is Lori Brown at 1791.com.
Lori Brown?
And that's Laurie, Brown like the color, at 1791 was the year the Constitution was adopted.
And the state of Texas, is that the year it was done there?
Yep, I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, remember the avocado.
The Alamo.
I thought the avocado.
Well, there's a lot of avocados around here too, because we eat guacamole.
Listen, you guys have got the best fajitas in the world. I went to that river walk when we did a little RV trip back in the spring. Based on your recommendations, we rerouted our whole RV thing just to do the Alamo and the river walk. And I
was like, don't go to Dallas, go to San Antonio.
Nobody wants to go to Dallas. Who wants to go to Dallas? All you're gonna see is a bunch of cowboys crying. I'm not gonna throw shade on the Cowboys. I'll get hate mail for sure. Well, Thank you so much, Lori. Enjoy the rest.
My pleasure.
The rest of the day, and thank you for those who don't know this. This is our second take because the first one had some technical issues because Miss Spelling Bee wasn't here helping me figure out which button to push. Talk to you later, girl.
Well, thank you, Terry.
All right, bye bye.
Bye bye.